Alright, let's see here. Well, we finished the main playthrough, but there's some extras you could check out. I did a little bit of it on stream, but there's a backstage like Omake episode that we could do. But I didn't really finish it because, you know, by the time I did everything on my last stream of this game, I was a little over time. You know, I was here like 6 hours, which is no more than I usually do. So I wanted to save the rest for like a, you know, just a local recording, I guess. Exclusive on YouTube, by the way. Amazing. But let's see here. What is this all about? Excuse me, what are you doing here? You, yes you. I wish I knew how all these uninvited souls can find their way to my mansion. Well, never mind that for now. The fact that you're here means you've uncovered all the mansion's mysteries, yes? My congratulations for having the fortitude to endure such a grim tale. I would ask you what you thought of it, but unfortunately that's beyond even my powers. I can't ask for feedback, because I'm just a character in the game. Well, since you're here though, how would you like to take a little tour of the house? That is, if you're willing to take this hand, my cool skeleton hand. I still think it's pretty cool, but I don't know. You've got a strong stomach at least. Before we begin our little trek, I would like to emphasize that this is, as the title implies, a look behind the curtains of the house in Fata Morgana. If you just complete the game or like some time to dwell on it, you're welcome to head back now. But should you choose to continue, I encourage you to do so knowing that what you're about to read does not in any way respect the tone of the game proper. Okay, so yeah, definitely like just a little Omake episode. Probably gonna break the fourth wall and stuff like that. You'll be making your way to the heads of the staff themselves, and I promise you, it's not a pretty sight. You'll see people who shouldn't be here, things that contradict the events of the game, a general sense of pandemonium. You do your best not to think much of any of it. That said, I would prefer not to have to guide you around the house all by myself, not because I have anything in particular against you, of course. I simply think it'd be inappropriate for him not to accompany us. Yes, him. This story's protagonist. Let's be off then. Alright. Ah, I found another split end. Look, this one's split into 3. I don't know why you're so excited about split ends. If my hair is such a mess, maybe I should just cut it all off. I'm not particularly attached to having long hair. I'm not sure how I feel about that idea. I quite enjoy playing for your hair myself. Says the woman who once called me a hair monster. I didn't actually mean that. I was just, you know, a little overwhelmed at the time about how unexpectedly handsome you were, but I couldn't make myself to say it. I hope you two sickening lovebirds spontaneously combust. Normies. Hey, what was that for? And be careful what you wish for. Quite literally, we might actually go up in flames. How long have you been staying here, Morgana? As a true master of this house, I'm everywhere at all times, even in the bathrooms. Don't worry, when I was in her position, I closed my eyes and plugged my ears when you were doing your business. I think that's enough toilet humor for the time being, especially in front of our guests. You're the one who brought it up. Wait, what guests? Oh, so you can't see the soul beside me, the player. That's quite a shame. Could they be who was watching over us? I better give them my thanks then. Unfortunately, I can't see you there, but either way, thank you very much for accompanying us to the end of our story. Go on, Michelle, you thank them too. Thanks. You're the protagonist. Surely you can do better than that. Could you really consider me the protagonist? What, did you hit your head and lose your memory again? It just never really seemed that way to me. I can understand that. You didn't become an active participant in the story until the end of Chapter 4, Michelle. In some ways, you could call the first 4 chapters an extended prologue. But once you reclaimed yourself, you were most definitely playing the protagonist. Especially in the final chapter, you had me swooning by the end. Sure, thanks. I'm going to bring Michelle with me, and only Michelle. Aw, what about me? Because with you around, he turns into a lovesick, airheaded dope. He's about as useful to me as a wet paper sack full of potatoes. Come on now, get moving. Are you sure I can't come with you? Absolutely not. You spoil him in more ways than one. What are we going to do though? What do you think, my dear? With what any respectable behind-the-scenes extra would do, of course. We're going to visit each room of the mansion and faff about like a bunch of fools. That sounds like a lot like spending 1,000 lines talking trash about Michelle to me. I seem to recall plenty of faffing about in the main game anyway. Why don't we do something we couldn't do there? I have just the thing. Here, the cue cards. Cue cards. They've got profiles and other miscellaneous notes from the creators about each of the characters. I thought they might come in handy. I can see them being useful, yes, but why exactly you have those? Apparently, it's the maid's job to give the star of the show his notes. Is that a fact? If I'm not mistaken, the maid had cue cards and the other extra as well. I'd rather pretend those miniaturized things were not actually us. So I don't know, I don't know what they were meaning. I think there's like a demo of this game that maybe they're referring to or something. Anyway, I can't help but feel the creators were screwing with us on some level. Actually, since we're here, maybe we should start with the two of you before we head out. I'll read your profile, Michelle. I doubt you want to do it yourself, would you? Hand over the cue cards. Alright, now let's begin. This pathetic long-haired man, believe it or not, is the protagonist of the house in Fata Morgana. See, I told you this is how it would go. You can't deny a lot of readers probably did expect the creepy white-haired recluse to turn out to be the main character. According to this, the two of the creators' goals for this game were to subvert the reader's expectations and cast new light on new information the farther you progress through the story. You two are probably the most obvious examples of that. Don't forget about yourself, Morgana. Even before the focal point of the game, my story, was revealed, there were examples of lines or events take on new meaning as each of the first 3 chapters developed. Though perhaps there are some people whose interpretations did not change throughout the course of the tales. That is true. At first, Mel seemed like a fairly likable young man, but by the end of his chapter, he had revealed himself as a helplessly worthless child. The second chapter was pretty crazy too, where we found out about a ukulele. That was it. No, that's not how you pronounce his name. As I recall, it's Eucalyptus? You already made that joke. Let it go, please. That creature doesn't need a name. Just call him the Beast. Chapter 3 is something else too. My impression of Jacopo and Maria had completely turned around by the end. At the end of that chapter, you learn what kind of man he really was, which then ties into the revelations in the final chapter. Piles of human garbage, the 3 of them. What is a man? A miserable pile of secrets. But enough talk. But we'll go into more detail about them later. Right now, it's Michelle's turn. The core aspects of his character are justice and righteousness. What? Why are you looking at me like I just told you the sky is purple? I wasn't expecting something so flattering to come out of your mouth. Nor do I really think of myself that way. I'm hardly a paragon of virtue. That's true. Putting a knife to a woman's neck isn't very righteous. My sincerest apologies. You had your reasons, I know, but it was pretty terrifying at the time. I don't hold it against you, though. Anyway, while those are the core aspects of your character, they got buried over the course of the abuse and misfortune you suffered throughout the story. Your circumstances in life forced you to repress yourself, and once you are free from those restrictions in the final chapter, you are able to act as the man you truly are, or something to that effect. I'd say it was Giselle's influence more than anything that got me through the final chapter. Like I said in the game, I couldn't have done it on my own. I'm glad to be of assistance. I really need to peel these two apart. We'll never finish if they keep making goo-goo eyes at each other every 10 seconds, or at each other every 10 seconds. If that's supposed to be my character, then there's one thing I can't wrap my head around. And what would that be? How all the promotional material portrays me. The staff has a fondness for being misleading, the writer especially. Take my portrayal in the demo's backstage extra. What was that all about? I don't know. I don't know, Michelle. I don't know what that was about because I have no idea. I've never went through that. Well, it was a demo. I'm sure they just didn't want to spoil the surprise. It was fun calling you my whipping boy too. Whipping, or yeah, it was just I'll say that. It was fun calling you my whipping boy too. And your portrayal makes sense if we assume that Michelle there was from when it was just the two of us living in the mansion. You were pretty damaged at that point. Which was largely my fault, I suppose. Okay. You know, it kind of reminds me of Danganronpa, actually. You know, there's another visual novel, Danganronpa. It's, I wouldn't say it's very similar, but, you know, but it is a visual novel, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing that ties it together. But, because it's a mystery game, you know, Danganronpa, kind of like Phoenix Wright, there was a demo about it, at least for the first game, that was actually misleading, you know, as it turns out. Like, it's a completely different story, technically, but obviously it stops at a cliffhanger and everything. So maybe something similar happened for this game, too. I never saw it, though, some sort of demo, I guess. In any event, the promotion materials are already out there, so there's nothing you can do about it. You are, for all intents and purposes, officially a NEET. Well, now that the game's over, I have a couple things I'd like to get off my chest. And what would those be? I never wanted to be a recluse. Well said. Well said indeed. Also, I never wanted to die a virgin. Well said. Well said indeed. Though I must say, it seems rather irrelevant to joke about either of those, knowing what we know now. Well, we're not the ones writing. We just say what we're told to. Regardless, I can't say I'm completely satisfied, but I'm happy enough my story was adequately explained the game itself. I'm genuinely impressed you can be happy about any of your story, considering the kind of hell you put through. There are how many dead ends? There are a lot. And you took quite the beating on more than one occasion. A lot of that does fall on my head, I suppose. The ending was perfect, though. So yes, I'm happy. Please, for the love of all that's holy, stop smiling. I can't see as anything but pitiful. Why? Because in this story, you're the king of misfortune. Oh, that reminds me. There's something in your profile even more crucial than your core of justice and righteousness. You're apparently born under an unlucky star. And that's why, no matter what you do or where you go, you're destined to have terrible things happen to you. Why must the universe be so cruel to me? Well, I am the queen of misfortune, so perhaps they just wanted someone else to be as miserable as me. Giselle had it pretty bad too. What? You think so? I don't think I had it near as bad as either of you. You spent centuries completely and utterly broken. Oh, that's all in the past though. I'm back to my old self now, and that's enough for me. You are unnaturally skilled at whitewashing the past. In fact, the both of you are far too forgiving. Although, I suppose that's why you ended up as the hero and heroine of the story. Or heroine? But I'm still the anti-heroine. Anti-heroine. I don't usually hear that, actually. Anti-heroine. Usually you hear anti-hero, you know, anti-heroine. I mean, I guess it's just the female version of anti-hero, but, you know, I don't think about that, actually. Like, there are anti-heroines in many types of media, I don't know. Anyway, you say that like something to be proud of. Well, that about covers the main character, Michelle. In conclusion, he's a 27-year-old man whose head in the clouds who talks like a character out of a bad fairy tale. What happened to all of that about justice and righteousness? Why could you conclude of that? He also has no sense of humor and doesn't realize that they're all exact same thing. Could you try not buttering me up only to tear me back down again? Even the inverse would be preferable. And to top it all off, he's completely incompetent when it comes to romance. I knew it. I knew this is how it was going to go. I read you being made fun of number 2 in terms of when you're most interesting, Michelle. Gee, thanks. That makes me feel so much better. Now, since we have seemed to fall back to our usual routine, let's move on to Giselle, shall we? What? Me next? Oh, I've got butterflies in my stomach. And here we have, believe it or not, the heroine of the game. And what's so hard to believe about that? Tell me, would you ever imagine the maid with her creepy laugh who was this bubbly ball of energy? I'd rather not think about my time as the maid. I can't say I blame you. Your mind was complete mush at the time. If you'll allow me to say, that maid outfit was quite the eye-catcher. No, hold your tongue, my dear. You only you could just, put on the maid. Why Michelle has a maid fetish for some reason? Anyway, now I have to ask, Giselle, where in the world did you pick up those laughably flowery speech patterns? Are you sure you want to know? Is there any reason I wouldn't? Well, I picked it up from you, Morgana. Excuse me? Well, like when you're really ripping into some Morgana, you kind of start talking like a character in a stage play. You're calling me theatrical. You take that back. So the maid's speech patterns were modeled after Morgana's, huh? That would definitely make sense considering the tone of the 4th chapter. Don't you be talking about me, even you're ahead. Not a word. Regardless. My speech patterns and the maid share nothing in common, and your terrible human beings are so much as suggesting it. What are you smirking about? Oh, nothing. I was just thinking that human Morgana is kinda incredibly adorable. Ah, you're blushing. Look at her, she's blushing. Oh, be quiet. Are you just gonna stand by and watch as your girlfriend insults me like this, Michelle? I'll have to agree, if you ask me, you are pretty adorable right now. Oh, it's like 2 tiny little tomatoes to grow on your face. I am not blushing, and if you two don't back it off, I'll cast a curse on your souls for all eternity. That seems a bit excessive. Well, we seem to have gotten off track. Let's take a look at Giselle's profile now, shall we? Well, I can't imagine there's much written there. You obviously aren't a very good judge of your own character then. No sane person would spend centuries waiting for a man they only knew for a year. Well, it isn't the amount of time we were together that matters. Besides, it was more complicated than that. Of how we were forced to part ways, there's no way I could let it end there. Also, we're bound on a cellular level. Okay. I think I just vomited in my mouth a little. Oh, it wasn't that bad, was it? Moving on. So as you can see, Giselle has her own fair share of baggage as well, but she's an optimistic woman, proactive about moving on. Hidden behind the maid was a fairly classic heroine character. Giselle the maid came about because one day the creators decided they really wanted to see a cheerful young woman turn into a broken husk of a human. Poor Giselle. Another thing they wanted to do with Giselle was start with her as essentially the story's narrator, and then over the course of the game, pull her out of that position and turn into a real character. On a somewhat unrelated note, Giselle's portrayal, or the maid's I suppose, outside the game was possibly worse than mine. It was. I was practically evil in the demo's backstage scene. I estimate about 70% of the character the staff tried to play off as the maid was actually Morgana. You're making it sound like I'm evil now. That I will not stand for. You weren't evil, but you were definitely antagonist for a good portion of the game. We've already established that the staff gets off on being intentionally misleading, so let's just assume that's what it was and move on. Before I forget, there's one other important knowledge of Giselle's profile I still need to go over. Oh, and what would that be? She has the largest breasts of anyone in the game. I saw that, Michelle. I saw you sneaking a look. Don't think you can fool me. It's hard not to look at, frankly. You guys have no idea what it's like. My shoulders are constantly stiff. It's terrible. it's anime trope. You know, I'm gonna be honest. Like, you always see in animes, like, you know, when there's like a girl with small boobs and there's a girl with big boobs and they compare each other, and the big boob one always says, you know, that how her shoulders are like, you know, stiff because of her big boobs, and the small boob one gets jealous or whatever. Is that a thing? I don't know, man. It just seems ridiculous to me, but anyway. Hold on a second. Didn't you say in your profile that you prefer small boobs? What? I never said that. And who do you think we're going to trust here? But enough of that. Okay. That's Giselle or the maid for you. She started out the game seemingly full of secrets and possibly scheming something, and turned up with the ideal waifu material. A waifu. Ideal waifu material. I like the sound of that. Why did she get so much better treatment than me? Well, the story is supposed to be, at least to some degree, about Michelle's growth, so without Giselle, I'd imagine we'd have ended up failing that goal spectacularly. Most likely. They say Giselle's ideal wife material. I would say, well, not wife. I guess, but rather waifu, you know? I actually like Morgana the most. I think she's the most interesting character, but anyway. She's the ideal waifu. The two of us kept each other going. Now that sums about everything I have to say about you two, so we're gonna go for a little walk around the mansion. You stay here and keep yourself entertained, Giselle. I'd rather come with you. I'm staying too. No, you're coming. If you don't, I'll cast into the curse into the three souls. Or do you want all your hard work in the game to go to waste? You don't have to threaten me. Okay, fine. I'll be back shortly, Giselle. Have fun. I'll be here when you get back. Here, Michelle, you can have the cue cards back. It is now your job to read off their profiles. Do I really have to? You might as well do something. What happened to the Michelle from the game's climax? Because right now you look like breathing is too much effort to bother with. I just don't think I'm the right person to be talking about other people's characters. You might have a point. If you don't have someone to keep you in check, you'll start defending anyone, no matter how heinous. You really ought to learn to call a sinner a sinner. Was she asleep for half the game? Anyway, it's your job, understood? Well, whatever. Let's get going then, shall we? We'll start by visiting the three men who instigated my curse. And I think I'll let you, our guest, decide the order. Now go on, take your pick. It's a choice. It's a multiple choice thing. I mean, I don't know if it matters. I assume we're gonna go through the same characters, or rather, we'll see all the characters anyway. So let's just go in order, I guess. Mel. Off we go then to see the spineless little boy. We came to pay you a visit, you spineless little boy. Hey, you show up out of nowhere and that's how you greet me? What are you doing here anyway? Or what are you two doing here anyway? We have to talk to you for this behind-the-scenes extra. Do you really think anyone would visit you if they had the choice? This is an extra, like you said, so can we make this a pleasant affair? Also, I know you like calling me spineless, but I don't think I'm that big of a wuss. If you ask me, I'd say I handled myself pretty well around the white-haired girl by the end of Chapter 1. And I definitely put in some good work in the final chapter. I'll agree with you about the final chapter, but the end of the first chapter doesn't leave the best impression. Can you really blame me? How was I supposed to predict Nellie would go so far? No kidding. Go on, Michelle, the cue cards. Share this spineless child's profile with all the world. Let's see here. It says here that the desire to be loved is one of the themes of Mel's story. His unconditional kindness to others was rooted in that desire. Could you be any more pitiful, my dear? I don't think that's a terribly unusual trait. Some people need the validation and love of others to make it through life. That's only human. See, I told you you'd start getting defensive. I don't see the point in being as harsh on him in the extra as I was in the main game. On the subject of the first chapter, I have to say, I really was surprisingly bright and cheerful for the most part. At least until the latter parts of the chapter, things were honestly quite pleasant. I wonder how many readers at that point in the game could have even imagined how brutal and dark the main story would turn out to be. Well, I already had that kind of impression, just because that's how I heard about the game in the first place. Because if it was just like happy all the time, I wouldn't even bother, to be honest. But anyway, well, up until the second chapter began, I imagine many people thought you were the game's protagonist, Mel. Not that he could have handled that kind of responsibility, of course. Well, let me guess, because I'm spineless. It's a question of experience. Only someone who's been through that kind of mistreatment and misfortune Michelle has would have been able to free me. Oh, I didn't know you had it that bad, Michelle. It's, well, not something I care to talk about. To start things off, he was physically and emotionally abused by a psychopathic woman by the name of... Not another word, Morgana. Well, whatever happened, it sounds like it was rough. You have my sympathies. Getting pity from you just makes me irrationally angry. I would still suddenly give you a good whack on the jawbone. Whoa, you just defended me 1,000 lines back. Now you want to hit me. You two get along oddly well, Well, there's something about Michelle that Almost makes him feel like he's my age. I have a good 10 years on you. We did spend 13 years locked up in isolation from the world. It's hardly a surprise he stopped aging mentally. Whoa, you were locked up for 13 years. Wow, now I really feel bad for you. Prepare for a beating of a lifetime, boy. Why? I just said I felt bad for you. Your sympathy is by and large a ruse. You rarely ever do you genuinely mean it. That's not true. We've gone off track. Mel is on the surface a friendly, kind-hearted young man, but he has a tendency to stumble and cower back when things get difficult, in part due to the lack of self-esteem mentioned earlier. And in the final chapter, he started off in a very difficult situation, so he was submissive and a constant source of pathetic complaining. Spineless and submissive. There's no hope for you, is there? I think he would make a fairly respectable young man if he could overcome that weakness. The end of the final chapter was in part a result of him reaching that point. See? When push comes to shove, I come through. Have you forgotten the part where you sold me out? Sorry about that. One's environment does also have a significant effect on their behavior. Well, that about covers what's on the cue card. I feel like I just spent the whole time getting railed on. Not that I can blame you, I guess, considering how I acted it over the course of the game. In the end, you did manage to prove a good ally, though. Oh, thanks. I'm glad I could be of assistance. If you're trying to end this on a pleasant note, I won't have it. Him being somewhat helpful in an alternate version of events that never actually occurred doesn't change the fact that he gave me up like a spineless wuss he is. Oh, give him a break, would you? The game's over. This could be a different game entirely, and I would still hold it against him. Though I suppose I could be a little less insensitive about it. We do have a guest after all. Now, I think it's time we went to see someone else. What? You're leaving already? Well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping you could maybe go for a walk out in the sun or have a picnic together or something. So you can weaken me, and then what will you do to me? If you just suggest a walk around the lake, I'll tie rocks to your feet and push you in. Oh yeah, that is considering what happened in the main story. Farewell, Mel. Until our souls cross paths once more in the boundless sphere of fate. Yeah, bye Morgana, Michelle. Okay, this is very casual, bad boy. Next one would be the swordsman. Hooray, that guy. You want to see him? Well, whatever you like. Michelle, you go first. So I can be a meat shield again. We came to pay you a visit, you psychopathic monster. Is that what I am? A psychopath? If nothing else, you are the most certainly the character in this game that poses the most danger to others. That's fair. Most of the dead ends were on me as well. You really need to learn to show some regard for human life. I just lose control of myself. There's nothing I can do about it. This is murder we're talking about here. Do something about it! Of all the characters in the game, he was the most dramatically two-faced. The illustrations in the second chapter were honestly quite shocking. I feel terrible for Pauline. So, what brings you two here? It's the behind-the-scenes extra, so we're here to discuss you as a character. The staff even provided us with notes. I see. Do you think the setting's worth talking about at all then? Or do you not think the setting is worth talking about at all then? You want to talk about the setting? You, the Japanese guy who barged in out of nowhere in what was supposed to be a gothic suspense horror game. You know, because originally this was in Japanese. You know, it's a little on the nose how they wanted to self-insert like a Japanese character a little bit. Anyway, out of curiosity, were you also Japanese in the final chapter? I couldn't tell you. I don't have most of my memories. What does the staff have to say about that? Well, from somewhere in Asia. That's incredibly vague. Well, that said, there's apparently a reason for the ambiguity. The main theme of your story is boundaries, it says. Oh wow, I was expecting madness, or brutality, or beasts, or multiple personalities. I don't actually have multiple personalities. That's you. You know, Morgana is the one with multiple personalities. It's just an act. Oh, there's nothing to gloat about, my dear. Anyway, it says here you're a character that straddles a number of different boundaries. Sanity and madness, humanity and barbarity. Also, faithfulness and infidelity. I committed no infidelity. I never slept with a white-haired girl. Only because all you needed in a relationship is peace and a tether. You have a point. He conceded that point rather easily. And once you cross all those boundaries, you quickly lose control of yourself. You really are a strange man, you know that? You weren't quite so bad in the final chapter, but in the second, it was almost unbelievable how downright maniacal you got. I expect my curse has some influence there, though. On that note, it also says here that the writer thought Chapter 2 seemed unusually long until he realized it was in no small part thanks to Yukimasa's cackling. At least you were having fun. Of everyone, I'd say I'm probably most worried about how you turn out after the ending. I swore I would resist the temptations. I thought that stopped you from laughing like a madman as you strangle puppies and smash kitten skulls. God, I wish I could be human. Sounds like some twisted version of Pinocchio. Once the reveal finally happened, it was almost hilarious how vapid the merchant's character became. Like when you told Pauline that perhaps my adoration had grown so strong it turned you into a transcendent beauty like Cleopatra herself. Women like to hear such things about themselves. You're terrible. And then you went and killed all your crewmates out at sea and told Pauline, no, there was no trouble when you got back. You're as black-hearted as they come. You don't have to tell me. I am aware. That's an odd point to get snippy over. He has no concern about whether he's a good or a bad man, only with whether he's a man or a beast. Again, I am aware. I really hope I never run into him again outside the extras. While next to the rest of the cast, it's only refreshing how forward you are about your atrociousness, despite being so much worse than any of them. It almost makes me think you're so hopeless it's not even worth bothering. Yes, it's so over the top sometimes that, you know? It's like, it feels like, you know, it really feels like he is like less bad than Jacopo, even though he's done way worse things for some reason. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's just so over the top in terms of how much murdering he does. That doesn't mean I'll forgive you, of course. Or at least give Pauline a good life, please. That's not exactly reassuring, you know, to do ellipses. I will do what I can. You know, for all you smile around Pauline, you're about as stone-faced Michelle around everyone else. In fact, I say Michelle had you beat in the final chapter. We all know that his smile is fake, though. Indeed, it's only been for Pauline, no one else. Both in the second chapter and the final chapter. Maybe we should rename you to the Masked Man. That makes him sound like a superhero. You do your best, my dear, and try to blend into society. Now, I think we spent more than enough time with this beast, so let's be off, shall we? You're leaving. Also, my name's changed. Goodbye, Angel. And goodbye, Witch. How many times do I have to tell you I'm not an angel? And for what it's worth, I'm not a witch any longer either. So, I'm the only non-human left in the cast then. How unfortunate. Someone really need to do something about him. There's nothing anyone can do but leave him be. Farewell, Yukimasa. Until our souls cross paths once more in the boundless sphere of fate. Farewell. He needs to see a therapist, basically. Alright, and the last one would be just Jacopo, I guess. I feel like I've always said his name wrong. But oh well. Oh, you want to go see him, do you? Well, if that's what you want, I suppose I can take you over. Why, hello there. How's your fragile male ego holding up? Oh, by the way, okay, well, I'm not gonna go too long of a tangent, but coincidentally, actually, while I was searching up this game, actually, when I beat it, actually, I was kind of looking for like looking up the history of the game. You know, like not like the history like in the development of the game, rather, but more so just like the settings of the game. Because I was still a little bit confused on where they were when they teleported. You know, each time in the story, when they when they time travel and when you hear the stories and everything. You know, I'm trying to think like especially in the second story with Yuki Masa. I was thinking maybe Spain, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, while I was searching for that though, I happened to come across an article about this game. I don't know, you know, if it's known or not. It's been a while, at least a few months. I don't know if anyone cares. But like, for some reason, there was a bit of a complaint, I guess, about the game, about this particular translation, The Fragile Male Ego. Which, I don't know, I kind of don't get. I mean, at the end of the day, it's nothing, I guess. But it kind of, I don't know, I just want to talk about it because it's kind of weird why someone would have a complaint about this particular translation, in my opinion. Because firstly, there are way worse things, you know, that happen in the game, really. You know, apparently, like, Morgana telling him he has a fragile male ego is the worst thing ever, even though there's way worse things that happen in the story. So it's kind of weird that somehow someone just skipped the rest of the story and came here, I guess, and saw this. I don't know. It's weird. But, because, you know, like, I guess, like, just something, one thing off the top of my head would be, like, when Maria told Michelle, you know, he has no balls or whatever, you know, that was like a really rude moment. But of course, with context, you understand it's ironic because even Michelle lampshades it and says like, you know, Maria doesn't know how much it hurts him because she doesn't know the whole story involving Michelle, and we do as the player, right? So, you know, with context, it makes sense. And like with context for this one, also kind of makes sense too, right? Because that's his whole thing. Jacobo's an asshole for the most part, and it's all about him like holding on to his pride as like the head of the house and not letting that go. And that's what caused a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings, and like in his story, and also like, you know, in the Morgana story as well. So yeah, you know, it's like it makes sense with the context, even though technically. Like a second reason that's kind of weird is like this is like a Omake anyway. This is like an extra chapter. It isn't even canon. This is non-canon actually, and yet somehow people were complaining about it. I guess I say people. I don't know who was complaining about it exactly, but someone was, and you know, and I saw an article about it, so I assume at least some people were. I don't know. It's just kind of weird, and I don't know. Like I'm thinking also like another thing would be like. For me anyway, it doesn't even mean much, really. Fragile male ego. Maybe there's some kind of baggage around that phrase for some reason. I kind of don't get it, but like, maybe there's some kind of like implication with that. Because the way I understand it is that maybe like, I could be wrong, but like, maybe people misunderstand it as like, oh, it's an attack on masculinity, you know? He's attacking his maleness or something, which is not really the case. I think? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the rest of the scene yet, but I guess, you know, it's more like, at least from what I understand it, it's more like, you know, he's trying too hard to like, or at least, you know, when you say this to someone, which is not normally what you want to do, you know, either way, still kind of an insult, but, you know, it's a low tier insult, I feel like. But basically, you know, someone who's trying to be masculine in a very shallow way, right? Instead of just not caring and just being themselves, not worrying about that sort of thing. Someone who's like has a fragile male ego, you know, quote unquote, would be someone who's like so hell-bent on keeping their masculine image by doing dumb things. You know, it's a stereotype. You can see that stereotype like in movies or whatever, where like a husband and a wife are driving down the road and they're lost or whatever, and then the wife says, you know, like, can you just stop and look, you know, ask for directions? And the husband's like, no, I'm gonna figure this out myself, you know, whatever. And it's like, after like 3 hours, they're still lost or something. You know, it's that kind of like cliche, you know, whatever. I feel like that's the feeling that phrase conjures up in my head anyway. You know, it's just like a silly thing. It's just a silly insult. It doesn't mean much. I don't know. I guess also like, I mean, well, I guess the crux of the, I guess, quote-unquote controversy, I guess, would be the fact that in the original translation, though, as I've learned, it's actually tsundere yaro or something. I think tsundere yaro, So in Japanese, Morgana is calling him a tsundere, basically. And people say, oh, that's completely wrong. You know, it's not fragile male ego, it's tsundere. But it kind of makes sense though, because people assume tsundere is, I mean, if you didn't know, it's an archetype of like a character. You know, someone who's like, who acts very mean and aggressive to hide their like true feelings, usually in the context of like a rom-com, whatever. You know, their true feelings for like their love interests or whatever. You know, usually it's on the girl, I guess, if you watch anime. But specifically though, people assume it's a neutral term, and you know, when you translate to English, it's like specifically attacking a guy. But ironically though, at least I think, I could be wrong too, I could be wrong about this too, but I think tsundere yaro, in particular the yaro part, you know, yaro means like that guy, is actually gendered. You know, ironically, people say it's not gendered, it is. Japanese is actually more gendered in translation, actually, at least depending on the context anyway. So she is specifically calling him a male tsundere, not just tsundere, but male tsundere. So basically, I mean, if you want to literally translate it, it would be like a guy who has trouble revealing his true feelings, I guess, you know, something like that. Someone who's like a guy in particular who's too prideful to show his true feelings, I guess, which is like, I don't know, that works. You know, it's like fragile male ego, male tsunderes, pretty close. I don't know. But I guess the main thing is that they didn't want to use the word tsundere because, you know, it's kind of weird. I mean, I think it's kind of used in slang in Japanese. I don't know how popular it is, but because, you know, it's not just like in anime, but just in general, sometimes I think I've heard elsewhere, you know, not just in anime. But I don't know how popular it is these days, though. Like, I don't know if you call someone literally a tsundere. I hear it sometimes in anime, like in a dialogue or whatever, but again, I don't know how like common it is. But anyway, that's just all to say. This is a big tangent, but it's weird, you know. I don't know why when you search up like this game and then somehow this shows up. I don't know, it's just weird. Like fragile male ego. Is that really that bad of a thing? I kind of don't get it. Anyway, House of Fata Morgana. Such a niche game, but this is a very niche visual novel. I'm be honest. It's like, it's not super obscure, but pretty obscure, you know. So I don't know why this like got attention for a little bit. I don't know. Maybe not though. Maybe everyone's already forgotten at this point. But I just happen to be playing this game right now, so I saw that article and everything, right? Anyway, that's my thoughts about that. I guess at the end of the day, it's nothing. You know, it's just nothing. It just means nothing. Anyway, let's continue though. Well, hello there. How's your fragile male ego holding up? AKA your male tsundere. Which is actually, I mean, I've actually called him male tsundere before. It's kind of worse though. It's even worse than like a normal tsundere, because he does horrible things. Anyway. Also, I never remember how this, like, I mean, obviously I'm not a professional voice actor. I definitely just, these voices I do are not very good, I think, anyway. But I don't know, I always forget what his voice is, to be honest. I actually forgot, like, what his voice was when I initially kind of voiced him, sort of. When I read his lines in the voice, I actually forgot. And then I made, like, a different voice. Now, you know, when we went through, like, Morgana's, like, time travel story, and now I've forgotten again. Like, what exactly is he supposed to sound like? I don't even know. Like, I don't know, it's like snooty. Like, I'm trying to think, like, because I was trying to think of like a, I don't know, like a rough guy, rough voice in like Industrial Revolution. You know, someone's like, who started out poor and becomes rich, you know, how would that sound like? I don't know. I don't know what he would sound like normal. I guess, you know, he's from Italy, I assume, or at least somewhere nearby. I don't know exactly Italy. I think, you know, there's a lot of references to Italian cuisine in particular when you go through his story, so I assume he's from Italy, he's Italian. So I don't know how does a Italian person sound like. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. I actually don't know. Anyway, I am genuinely glad to see you. However, I must ask, why did you bring him along with you? Why do you never come to see me alone? About as well as always, I see. I mean you only the best. In fact, there's a great deal I still need to tell, and you wonder why I don't want to see you. He got pathetic real quick after the final chapter ended, huh? Damn it. What do you even see in that man? He's just a filthy Frenchman with disgustingly long hair. The hair is one thing, but I can't change where I was born. Not a single damn good thing has ever come out of France. Some say French is one of the 3 great cuisines of the world, but anyone with a functional tongue knows Italian is vastly superior. They call themselves part of the civilized world, when in reality they're just a bunch of stuck-up snobs. I mean, kind of like the pot calling the kettle black here. Simpletons love to fawn over Beaujolais Nouveau, but I tell you, the wine my country produces is far higher quality. Stunned as science in the face of the immutable truth, are you? I hope you get lost in the Louvre and starve to death, you bigoted prick. Okay. Ah, look at that. You hurt his feelings, Michelle. I swear, he's definitely the running for the most obnoxious character in the game. So, what brings you two here? We're here to discuss your character as part of this behind-the-scenes extra. Although I do think Fragile Masculinity does a wonderful job describing you. You like to make a big show of things, but the reality is, if you had simply swallowed your pride for 2 seconds and said what you really felt, told the truth, almost all of this could have been avoided. It's nigh unbearable watching you flounder around like a buffoon. I almost feel bad for him. Almost. I think you probably chided him enough, Morgana. He was kinda caught between a rock and a... Shut your mouth, Frenchman. I don't need you to defend me, okay? All I want to know from you is to know why you're with Morgana. You do realize he's a rosy-eyed romantic, don't you, Morgana? You saw him swooning over some silly spring snow for God knows how many lines. Are you telling me that whole exchange wasn't gag-inducing? Seriously, why him? You really are insufferable. Well, seeing a man so overcome with jealousy is just sad. God damn it, you just don't get it. I won't deny Michelle's a bit romantic, but he also probably wouldn't lock someone in a tower and throw away any chance he might have at redemption. So I'd say he's preferable to any of you. Is preferable really the best I can manage? Furthermore, I do not have feelings of that variety for him. You know, it's just friend zone. Michelle and I were GODs. GODs? Gods? Not gods, but like, I'm trying to think. Like, what does that stand for? Good old. I was trying to like good old friends. It's not FDs. I don't know. What is it? We're what now? Where are those have been graced by overflowing divinity? Oh, okay. What? We share a special connection, one you could never hope to have. More like going overboard on drollery. Now, what I wonder is how that was translated, because obviously there's no obviously you can't make a one-to-one acronym from Japanese to English, so I wonder what that was. What that kind of joke, was in Japanese. Okay, well, I had my fun. Let's make our way to another room, shall we? Wait, hold up. What happened to discussing my character? The cue card I was given for you is blank. What? It couldn't be. I'm joking, yes. You're kind of an asshole, you know. Yes, because you're the one to talk. Well, it says here that fundamentally Jacob is pure of heart. Though he acts proud and egotistical, he actually feels a great deal of debt and responsibility to those who allowed him to reach his position of power. He generally means well, but he has a great difficulty actually communicating his feelings. You have no right to get on my case about communication problems, Frenchman. Yours is on a very, very different level. So there's something I've begun to notice. Your character is a little too similar to mine. In what way? You and I are both pure-hearted types, and were born into less than ideal circumstances. That's not where I take real issue. To start, we talk too much alike. You try to act a little more polite around others, but on your own, your voice is uncomfortably similar to mine. As if this voice right now is kind of similar to Michelle as well. In fact, well, most male voices I do are actually pretty similar, unless it's like super deep, like Yukimaso is like this, very deep voice like this. This is like distinct. Otherwise, my voices are very similar. You know, again, I'm not much of a voice actor. Anyway, but I showed up before you in the game. You know what that means, don't you? You're the copycat. I can't deal with this right now. And besides, I first appeared at the end of chapter 2 before you were introduced. My logic's infallible. Your voice naturel is actually more childish than you present yourself. Oh, do you think I somehow wasn't aware of that fact? You just had to bring that up, didn't you? You could try dropping the tough guy act. It's not actually attractive at all. Well, if you insist, I suppose I could... Let's go. Wait, I didn't even get a sentence and you're leaving? May our souls never cross paths again in the balance of your fate? No, let them, damn it! Okay. It's funny. Morgana's just... I mean, she has a grudge of all three of them, but in particular, Jacobo, I guess. I mean, he's the worst, right? Because she actually liked him, but then, you know, betrayed her. The same thing with Mel, I guess, but... I don't know. But more so with Jacobo. Anyway, that covers the three perpetrators. Next, why don't we pay a visit to those who were close to them? About that, there's something I've been wondering. And what might that be? They weren't directly involved in anything that happened to you, yet they seem to have been made guilty by association. That's true, none of them did anything to me specifically. I have no intention of apologizing, though. Morgana apologizing. Now there's a scene I cannot imagine for the life of me. That said, I will try to go easy on them, though I doubt I could come up with much to berate them for. I would appreciate that. Let's be off then. Okay. So there's more. We've got to visit Nelly, Pauline, and Maria. Well, again, let's just go in order. Go meet Nelly. So you want to see that rambunctious little girl, do you? Well, that's your choice to make. Ah, it's the Satanist, my second brother. Have you come to play? I have all sorts of card games to choose from, and if you like, I'll even make you some tea. Go on, pick a game, let's play something. No, we're not here to play. Morgana seems rather uncomfortable. What, you're not? Pshaw! What brings you here then? We're paying all the major characters in the game for a behind-the-scenes extra. You are next on the list. Oh? Does that mean you're going to talk about me or something? That it does. Surely everyone already knows everything they need to about me. I'm the most adorable princess in all the land. I'd like to know how your head works that you can say things like that about yourself without even blinking. You're pretty yourself, not that your face is better. She just can't seem to take control of the conversation. I will say, rather surprises me to hear you say that. Oh, why? You were rather brutal to the white-haired girl in chapter 1, so I assume that was how you are with all women. I'd only had a problem with her because she hooked up my dearest Mel. Anyone who tries to get close to my Mel must be exterminated. Exterminated? The poor white-haired girl didn't stand a chance. You're not interested in my Mel like that, are you, Saintess? The only thing I'm interested in doing to your brother is cursing him for all eternity. No, don't curse Mel. I don't care about the Lord, his bodyguard, but leave Mel out of it. I have to wonder, what exactly you see in that spineless runt? He's handsome and kind, just like a prince. How superficial. If those are your only criteria, this white-haired giant would qualify too, wouldn't he? What? No. He couldn't be my prince. Michelle would never give me a rose necklace or tell me how adorable I am or smile at me. What kind of prince is that? Mostly because I've been trying to avoid earning your excessive affection. I'm not sure how I feel about being berated for not making the same mistake as Mel. So, let's move on to Netta's profile then. Though, well, as you can see, her character largely boils down to excessively adores her older brother. You need to take those rose-tinted goggles off, girlie. Hey, I do not, and you make it sound like my adoration is a bad thing. She's a self-centered young girl, generally overflowing with energy, but also struggling for status as noble. The final chapter is perhaps a better representation of what that was like for her. How, while she appears to be quite blessed, in many ways that's not actually the case. I wonder if you seem less nauseous in the final chapter than the first because you were sickly and been forced into poverty. The last thing I care about is stuffy parties. I can't stand dancing with boys I don't even like, and all that hand-kissing stuff is so stupid it makes my head hurt. Crap. I can kind of sympathize with her on that, because Michelle had a similar experience. It's not all terrible, though. I probably would have been less snippy in the first chapter if I didn't have to deal with that jerkwad Arthur. What kind of person would you prefer, then? My Mel! Why did I even ask? Although if it's just for a dance partner, I could settle for Michelle. Let's dance right here, right now. Attend to your princess like a proper prince should. I don't even know how to dance. Give it a try. I'm sure it'll be loads of fun. For you, maybe. Are you saying you won't dance with me? You're a terrible brother, jerk, but... It's not you. I won't dance with anyone. Not only do I not know how, I have little interest. You're no fun. You're no fun at all. Because I refuse to be your plaything. If you won't dance with me, then we'll have to do something else. We already know your singing is bad enough to make someone go deaf, Michelle, so maybe the Satyrs could sing for us instead. You want me to sing? I'm sure it'll be great. You have a beautiful voice. I actually wouldn't mind hearing that. Not that I think she'll do it. Okay then, as you wish. What? You're actually gonna sing? Would you rather I didn't? I didn't say that. I didn't expect you would. Yay, I'm so excited. You sit down here next to me, Michelle. We'll listen together. Okay, I don't know, I guess it just fade to black, so I assume she sung off screen. Morgana, you brainwashed Nelly! That shouldn't have happened. It was just a regular hymn. You underestimate how much of an effect your voice has on people. Well, then maybe you should have stopped me. I underestimated it too. I feel kind of spacey myself. Nelly! Hey, Nelly! Come back to us, Nelly! Doesn't seem to be working. She doesn't seem to be working. She'll be a zombie for a few more hours at least. Damn. Let's move on, shall we? Okay. You're just gonna leave her like this? Well, you expect us to keep our guest here waiting, watch her doing nothing? She'll be fine. Okay. So take care, Nelly. Yeah. Okay, it's just a zombie. She can do that? I didn't know Morgana could do that. She'd just do that in the story. Maybe she wouldn't suffer as much, you know? Just like activate her singing abilities. Whenever she got in trouble. That would have worked maybe, I don't know. Like when Yuki Masa like tried to, I'm gonna kick down this door now. And then she sings, then, oh no, your voice, it has, prevented me from killing you and chopping off your arm or whatever. And then you take his sword and stab him, right? No? I guess not. Anyway, go see Pauline. You want to see her, do you? Well, she's harmless, so why not? Let's be off then. So I think I mentioned the names before. Like Javi, okay, Javi I think is Spanish, right? For some reason I thought he was Dutch. I think last time I mentioned his name. But Javi should be, not Dutch, Spanish or Portuguese. Either one of those, I guess. At least the origin. And Pauline is French, I think. Pauline is a French name, I think. So yeah, so Pauline's French. Javi was like in, Spain or Portugal. And Yukimasa is obviously Japanese. So those are the three countries that were involved in his second story, I think. I think I said Dutch because Dutch, I believe, is most of the lyrics of the game's OST. I think it's Dutch or some other like European language. Something foreign sounding. I think is why, it sounds like, really foreign to me, but obviously, it's just another language. It's a real language. It's just I don't understand it. Anyway. Oh, hello there. It's nice to see the two of you. What are we doing out here? I was thinking about the ocean, and the next thing I knew, here I was. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. It would be a good extra, though something inexplicable happening. Ugh, it's so bright. Well, since we're here, what do you say we grab a boat and go out on the water? I think I'll shrivel up and die out there. Could we at least stay on land, please? Aw, that's too bad, but I understand. Your health is more important, Michelle. We can talk here. You can ask me anything. Girl advice, guy advice, something more personal. We're not here for advice. We came here to have a behind-the-scenes look at your character. Behind the scenes? Like with insider information? Something like that. My character's not all that complicated though. At least I don't think so. It says on your cue card that she has a tendency to put a blind faith in people. Yeah, I realized that in the final chapter. After Maria got on my case about it. Is it true you tend to have your head in the clouds and are exceptionally loose of your trust, but that ultimately wouldn't have been an issue if that psychopathic monster were, well, anything resembling sane? Hey, don't talk about Yukimasa like that. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, is he? Whoa. How could you still say that after what he did to you? What happened to you in Chapter 2 was terrible. Both then and in the final chapter, you were completely innocent. A victim of your taste in men. A victim of your taste in men, eh? What do you even see in that thing? Originally, I thought I liked him because he was a hard-working, honest man. But now I know the truth. I think it was a more of case... I felt like I had to do something for him. What you should do is stay far, far away from him. I think subconsciously I picked up on his precariousness. I want to be there for him. Like I said, a victim of your taste in men. I guess. That said, you're one of the few people who can keep him on a leash, so the world will probably be a better place with you keeping a watchful eye on him. Maybe I'll actually put a leash on him. Like a little doggy collar. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. Then I probably shouldn't say that it was a good idea. Oh, Michelle, does that know the cue card you haven't read yet? Or were you planning on skipping that one? I'm not sure I should. Oh, it's on the card. You should read it. Alright, so, just for the record, I'm only saying this because it's on the card. Okay. She has the second largest breasts of any character in the game. Am I allowed to take him to court for that? I told you, that's what's on the card! You could have at least been a little less straight about it. You seem to be pretty dense when it comes to things like that, though. I was exiled before I had a chance to learn how to properly interact with like an adult. Don't think I didn't see you awkwardly sneaking glances at her as you read the card. It makes me wonder if what was said on your card is true if you actually prefer big boobs. I was not. It doesn't matter what my preferences are. I don't think I have any choice but to take this to court. Faith is literally your character, so why would you put any in me? I saw that! Well, that's something else I appreciate about Yukimasa. He never gave girls inappropriate looks. Probably because his targeting system was calibrated differently. Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about him. I know he's a good guy, and that's all that matters. It's almost terrifying how she can trust him so much. Giselle can also be deeply trusting, but at least she's able to acknowledge what kind of person she's placing that trust in. But Pauline, she's definitely blind. You look like you have something in your mind, Michelle. No, it's nothing. Pauline, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Oh? Are you a virgin? What? What? As a nun in the service of the Lord, you are required to maintain your chastity. Furthermore, you're known as a saintess, so to break that vow will be the utmost act of sacrilege. Or sacrilege. Absolutely. Of course I am. Oh, good. Words cannot describe how awkward this is. I think it's time we headed off. Have a good day, and may God bless. Please refrain from invoking my father's name like that. It's disrespectful. Coming from a woman who yearns after worldly pleasure. Sorry. Yikes. Yikes. Farewell. Okay. I don't know what that was about. Whether or not she's a virgin, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Well, time to go see Maria. She was pretty evil, actually. I guess compared to all the heroines. Okay, well, Nelly, she went a little yandere. You know, it wasn't too bad. She didn't kill anyone, I guess, but you know, she went a little yandere. Pauline was just a victim for the most part. Mario, though, definitely, let's just say, an antagonist. You know, an antagonist. But like, I kind of like her though. It's weird. Maybe I don't know. I like Morgana. I like Mario, even though they're pretty evil and they do bad things. Well, I don't know. Sometimes, you know, sometimes antagonists are awesome. You know, even though they're bad people, you would never want to meet them in real life. You know, because they would like kill you or something. But they make the story interesting, so that's why I like them. Anyway, so you wish to see her too, do you? I'm not very comfortable around her, but as you wish. She's a lot cooler though in the, you know, the final story though. She isn't like a weird, you know, manipulative, horrible person that tries to like, you know, make Jacobo super jealous and then torture the white hair girl and not doing anything about it, just letting it happen, you know, because she made the whole thing up in the first place, like a puppet master, and also try to kill him, you know, at the end of the third story. But you know, she's a lot cooler in the final story. She didn't do anything super horrible, as far as I know, anyway. As it turns out, actually, because I actually thought she was gonna like, I thought she like her story was gonna be like similar to the third story, where she's gonna like, it's gonna be revealed that she was the one who planned the attack on the brothel or something, you know, something horrible like that. But not really. Actually, she didn't do anything like that, as it turns out. So I don't know. Or like, at least her past incarnation is not exactly a bad person. Anyway, well, if it isn't Morgana, it's been forever. It has been some time, yes. You're not gonna find me down there, Morgana. Come on, show me that pretty little face of yours. No need to hide it. Do you not bear a grudge against me? Huh? Why would I? Of everyone, you deserve least to fall under my curse. You happen to have known the lore, and that was all. You even took care of me at the brothel. Is that some legitimate regret I'm sensing? Water on the bridge. No point in holding it over you. If anything, that sack of shit Jacob's to blame. Meanwhile, no one has any sympathy for him. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel the same way, to be honest. I don't have any sympathy for Jacobo. At least not like 0% sympathy. A little bit. Like, I understand where he's, you know, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place and everything, but you know, the way he reacts, like his like future incarnation, his past incarnation, kind of an asshole either way. Besides, I did kind of fuck you over pretty hard in the third chapter. Well, that wasn't me. Not exactly, but she was supposed to be part of you, wasn't she? At least at first, I wasn't planning to cause the madam as much grief as I did. Well, once I got started, it spiraled out of control, you know? Maria's kind of a terrifying woman. But you ultimately tripped up at the end. You should have aimed for where the bastard's weakest. His poor, fragile masculinity. Or the head, either works. That's what I was gonna say. The head? The head would probably work. See, that's my problem. I don't really think before I act. I just kinda run with my instinct. I'm betting the third chapter only went as well as it did all because I had your curse helping me out. Most likely. But you know what's a real work of art? My profile on the website. It says I'm her only ally. When in reality I was her greatest foe. I don't think that's something to be proud of. Your transformation in the third chapter was a sight to behold indeed. You even looked like a completely different person. I'm a girl of many faces. I have to say, I prefer you like this. Crass, but not too vulgar, and with everything out in the open. I'm totally with you there, girl. Playing so many roles is hard fucking work. I imagine. Anyway, you're not here to just shoot the shit, are you? Ah yes, we came to discuss your character for this behind-the-scenes extra. Go on, Michelle. Quit staring off into space and read the card. I was going to read the card, but what is it? Some kind of mind-blowing revelation? Well, you don't have to wait for me, I'm all ears. It's blank. Same as Jacobo. Oh, what did you say? I gotta skip it. It's what? I'm not kidding, it's completely blank. Okay. Well, actually, no, I think, Michelle was joking actually when he said Jacob was blank, but Mario's actually is blank? Hey, what the hell? Get your asses out here, staff, and explain yourselves. Why is mine the only one with nothing on it? No theme, no profiles, no nothing? I suppose it means you're exactly what you appear to be. In a way, that could be considered better than everyone else, with their secrets and ambiguous motivations. It's still a shitty thing to do. At least give me a theme or something. We could come up with one if you want. I need some time to think about it. Better make it a good one. Let's see. How about sisterhood? Seriously, that's not what I expected at all. It was the first thing that came to mind. Well, that ain't half bad. I figured you'd go something a little bit more pointed, like betrayal or sluttiness. How about self-deprecation? So you think of me like a sister, do you, Morgana? I'm cool with that. Chin up, girl. I'm not down there. Is she blushing? Morgana, out of curiosity, would you consider yourself to be like a sister too? She's more like a pet. A pet? Oh, I see. Anyway, I'm glad to see you doing well. Or chugging along at least. Hard to say anyone's doing well when we're all dead, huh? She sounds way too jolly about that. I know this is just an extra, but I'm so glad we had a chance to talk. Morgana. Me too. Looks like you have grown a bit. The Morgana I knew had never admitted that. We should get going. Oh, well, here's hoping we meet again. Later, Morgana. Someday, perhaps. Alright, there you go. Well, that's the last of that group. Only a few more to go. You mean that wasn't everyone? Unless you want that to be everyone. Oh, right. It'll be nice seeing my brothers again. Off we go then. Okay. See, Amy, Georges, and Didier. Amy is, oh yeah, Amy's, Dahlia Hawthorne, right? Is the girl. I don't know if we want to meet her. She's like pure evil, actually. Actually, she's the most evil character in the entire game. Again, even though she hasn't done worse things than Yukimasa, she still seems worse than Yukimasa, though. I don't know. Even though Yukimasa literally ate people. He literally ate people. Well, like, Ami's worse. As you wish, let's go see what Ami... Oh, wait, slow down. How could she possibly be here? You never summoned her, and she had no reason to find her way here like my brothers. It's an extra. I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever. I can bend reality. Hold on. She doesn't even have a sprite. That won't be a problem. All we have to do is switch it to portrait mode. Switch to portrait mode? That was what I was wondering. Why do we have portrait mode in the first place? I don't know why they did that. You know, like this. But I guess they can. This can't be happening. Michelle, your face. You're not looking very protagonist-y. Why, hello there, Michelle. It's been quite some time. I see you found enough guts to show your face around me again. Now, no need to glare. I was your first love, wasn't I? That was just hormones. I never had any romantic feelings for you. Right. You only lusted after me. There's something I've always wanted to tell you. Oh? And what might that be? Your smile. Your smile is goddamn terrifying. And off he goes. I take back what I said about him finding his guts. Give me a moment, I'll bring him back. Now, that was shameful, Michelle. I thought you were a man. Now this is like, this is like when it's like involving Michelle though. I feel like this is what, you know, an attack on masculinity is. You know, Ami. She's the one that's the devil, really. Morgana, make this quick, please. She did quite a bit of damage to him, huh? Okay, so according to the cue cards, if you were ranked the characters in Fata Morgana by how evil they are, the three biggest baddest women in the game would be Ami, Maria, and Morgana. Oh, wait a second, why is my name on this list? No, I will not accept that. Maria wasn't that bad in my time either. Please, just keep reading. Oh fine, you're in quite the hurry. Ami though, she's pure evil. Well, that's not very nice. Maria and I had our reasons for what we did, but she tortured people for the joy of it. Oh no, I would never dream of doing such a thing. She's the masked woman to go along with her masked man. Well, actually, I didn't think about that, actually. Yeah, she really is. She is actually pretty much as psychopathic as Yukimasa. When you think about it. Again, she didn't kill people, but, you know, she's like the, you know, the type of person that would literally torture a cat. Which she did, actually. She did, I think, torture a cat, I think, maybe? Maybe. I don't know, actually, no, she mentioned a cat. I don't know if she actually tortured a cat. But she probably would, you know, if she had a chance. So, yeah. They probably make a fine pair. I somehow doubt two of their type would be. They would get along very well at all. And unlike him, she likes to take her time, draw it out as long as possible. And much like what you said before you ran off, Michelle, it says here that Ami smiles a lot, but it's generally a fake smile. Oh no, all my smiles are entirely genuine, see? You can't fake not faking it. It doesn't work that way. How rude. I could see you're turning out to be the puppet master of the Blinger family. You had your claws in them pretty deep, didn't you? Is that important? You damn monster. Listen carefully, Michelle. You were burned at the stake. I lived a life of luxury. I don't need to tell you whose methods are superior, do I? That only applies for my life. I'm more than happy now. Is that so? Well, I suppose congratulations are in order. Let's get out of here, Morgana. Farewell, Michelle. We'll probably never see each other again. Okay. Bye, Dahlia Hawthorne. She's just evil incarnate, really. I wonder if she appears in other video games. I don't know. I mean, I don't imagine she literally is, you know, Dahlia from Phoenix Wright, but she's strikingly similar. Like literally down to the personality, even like almost literally the same, like appearance, but also like as a person. So like I don't know. She really is a reincarnation of Dahlia Hawthorne from Phoenix Wright, which is spoilers, by the way. But you know, well, Phoenix Wright's an old game. Anyway, that was exhausting. All right, okay. Well, let's see. Let's see Georges next. Yo, happy-go-lucky guy who I imagine would be voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. All right, then, off we go. Oh, hey there, Michelle, Morgana. How's it hanging? Hold on. Why are you still painting? I don't know. It just kind of feels right. More my image? I guess the reader's probably associated with this more than my human form too. Maybe, but still. Oh, it ain't the end of the world, little bro. Being a pain is actually quite nice. A bummer not being able to move around, but that aside is plenty to watch. Oh, huh. I never made that connection. You were here for all of the first 3 chapters, weren't you? Sure was. And you have no idea how bamboozled I was when the white-haired girl first showed up. It was like my painting had come to life. Did you not think she was me? Why would I? We're nothing alike. I mean, you might have looked a little like that as a kid, but you were definitely not that docile. So does that mean I'm the only one who thought she was him? Probably. Huh. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Georges. You're my brother. I wouldn't confuse you for anyone. If you're trying to make yourself sound like a good brother, you're gonna have to try harder than that. You and the knight so exiled him to this mansion and cut off all communication. Morgana, I've already said I don't hold that against him anymore. She's got a point, though. I was so busy in my work, it just kinda slipped my mind. I really am sorry about that. So much for family. But enough of that. The cue cards, Michelle. Read his profile for a guess. I'm not exactly comfortable saying this to my brother's face. Oh, what's it say? Some really dark secret? I wouldn't call it that, no. Fine, I'll read it if you don't want to. Let's see here. He's the biggest dumbass in the game. Haha, harsh man, harsh. I don't think you're supposed to find that funny, Georges. I could agree with that assessment. Either his head is empty or he needs to learn to use it a little more. I promise you, I've done lots of thinking since becoming a painting. I felt really bad about a whole bunch of crap. That's not really my style though, so it never lasted very long. I wish it were that easy for me. You know, of the 3 Bellinger brothers, I do kinda stick out. With all my love, you and Dee are more of the stick-up-the-bum type. So maybe I am illegitimate. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that turned out to be the case. Out of curiosity, what do all the different Bellingers look like? Well, Dee and Mom had blonde hair, Dad had darkish brown, I had jet black, and Michelle, well, you know how he looks like. You can't possibly be legitimate. I'll keep praying that ain't the case. Anyway, this conversation's going nowhere, so we should head out. What, already? Take me with you at least. Hold on, I'll get you down from there. No, you are not bringing him. All he does is make noise. Well, I tried. Oh well, that's too bad. Take care anyway, Michelle. You too. Oh, and Georges? What's up? I'm praying your soul wasn't extinguished. Yeah, me too. Thanks, little bro. See you again. Later, Michelle. No short thing there. And finally, Didier, which is, I don't know, Didier looks pretty bad. I mean, he reminds me of, what was it, Sid, I think? Was it Sid from Final Fantasy Tactics? I think it was Sid. But yeah, he seems like a badass RPG character, you know? If this game was like an RPG, he would be like an unlockable character at the very end of the game, and he'd be like very overpowered and everything, and you would use him for like a few battles, but then in the story, he sacrifices himself and then he dies, but then he leaves like good equipment for your party and everything, right? Anyway, it's very specific. That's how I imagine him anyway. Alright, well, if you want to see him, we'll have to head down the entrance. And this looks pretty cool too, you know, this kind of reminds me, I don't know, for some reason it reminds me of, I don't know, some kind of like gothic anime, I guess, which makes sense. Like, obviously like Castlevania, you know, this would not be out of place in like a Castlevania game or something. Anyway.
Michelle, I beg you, punish me for my sins.
Huh? Hold on, wait, what? I released you for regrets at the end of the game. So why have you reverted to how we found you? Why not? This is an extra. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
Canon or not, nothing can erase my crimes.
Please, dear, don't. You're just making it uncomfortable for me to be here.
I see. Well, if you insist.
I guess they're just gonna leave the graphic up. I will say I'm rather fond of that armor. I'd like to wear some just once.
You're welcome to try it on if you like.
Now you can read my mind.
No, but I can read your face.
Why not? I think I'll pass. Armor wouldn't suit me. It probably wouldn't fit me either.
Are you certain?
I don't have nearly enough muscle to look the part. Maybe I should start working out. That's what I was saying. Like, you know, start working out. Yeah. Oh yes, Knight, I have something I wanted to ask you.
Oh? What might that be?
You don't remember killing Georges at the end of the game, do you? Morgana, is this really the time? Your list of sins grows longer, Knight.
I not only murdered Michelle, but Georges as well. I must be punished. Hang me upon the cross. I am unworthy to call myself a knight.
And he's gone. Once again racked by guilt. You weren't kidding when you said this extra didn't respect the tone of the game, were you? My brothers are not your playthings. This was supposed to be a happy reunion. You're going to drive yourself mad if you fret over every little thing wrong with this extra? Now we should get going. Okay, that was quick. We didn't learn much about him. I guess you already, you know. And in the main story, we didn't learn much about him either, I feel like. He's just like a role model for, like, you know, Michelle, and at the end, you know, he, like, obviously, the big, not really a twist, but, like, the big sort of mini reveal is the fact that he did regret killing Michelle, you know, he didn't want to, he was actually crying as well, you know, when he killed Michelle and everything. They were both crying, as it turns out, and it's supposed to be, like, a sad moment. Anyway. And that's the last of them. I suppose it's time to draw this to an end. Haven't we missed one very important character? And who would that be? Well, it would be you, Morgana. Or, well, I mean, I guess the other you. The white-haired girl. She's no longer in this world. Her soul has been erased. But this... You said you could do whatever you wanted because this is an extra. Within reason, I cannot bring back that which no longer exists. She lives on within your memory. She wouldn't ask for anything more. That doesn't make it any less sad. Giselle's waiting. We should head back. Ah, okay. It's funny, it's supposed to be non-canon, yet... Yeah, you would actually still meet the white-haired girl. The Giselle's her maid uniform, though? Oh, hello. Welcome back, Michelle, Morgana. Giselle, what are you wearing? This felt more appropriate to say farewell in. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Anything goes here. Except when it doesn't. Alright everyone, squeeze it for one last illustration. And don't forget to smile for our readers. CG? Yeah, CG. Oh, thank you very much for reading all the way to the end of our extra. And likewise, thank you very much for reading to the end of the game. If our stories had any impact on you, we couldn't ask for anything more. And hopefully they just remember them as comically tragic. Actually, I kind of, actually do remember Fata Morgana as comically tragic. To be honest, a lot of the times. But anyway, it did have a happy ending though. I'm not convinced you could call that an entirely happy end myself. There's at least one person who's not coming back. And do we even know if he got the body you wanted? Well, whether he did or not, we're together, and we have a future. We'll make it work. If you say so. Well, we hope you enjoy playing the house in Fata Morgana. The staff and the localization team pour their hearts and souls in this game, and every satisfied reader validates their effort. It took a long time to get to this point. The first draft of the script was completed in 2009. 2009. Well, right now, the day I'm recording this technically is on 2021, so it's been a long time. 20 years? Or, well, more than that, actually. 22 years? Is that? I can't... Math is hard. Anyway. So, 4 years until the initial release, then another 3 to come out in English. That's a bit excessive, if you ask me. Well, hopefully the effort resulted in something worthy of all the time it took. And hopefully, whatever they make next doesn't take quite so long. Actually, the team's next game has already been released. Wait, has it? Why was I not informed of this? You were keeping it a surprise. This is my domain. I do not appreciate surprises. Now, don't throw a fit, my dear. That's my phrase, thank you very much. And on that note, we have an exciting announcement. Is it the sequel? Yeah, sequel, prequel, technically. So I did a little bit of reading on this, actually. I didn't like play the actual visual novel, but I looked it up and everything. So I guess this is about Morgana, actually. Morgana and Jacob's story that we touched upon in the game, I guess. But this one is in a little bit more detail. You know, the whole time that she spent in the brothel, I think, right? Around that point and everything, and how Jacob became the noble and everything, right? So this is what it's about. It's like a prequel, sequel. I believe in the Steam version. I don't know if it's the same in other platforms. I'm not sure, but at least on PC, I believe it includes other side stories as well. You know, just a few side stories. One notably, I think I mentioned before, that I thought was exclusive to the remastered version, but actually you can go through the story in the PC port, I think, is the one where it's like a post-epilogue, where you do actually get to explore the characters in their actual modern selves. So there's that. So that sounds interesting. Again, I don't know, I said before, but I don't know if I'll play this necessarily. But maybe if I really want to, if I wake up one day, I'm like, maybe I should play more Fata Morgana or something, then maybe I'll consider it. But probably not anytime soon, But anyway, the follow-up to the House of Fata Morgana, A Requiem for Innocence, will also be coming out in English in 2016, which, already came out, though. It already came out. We live in the future, so it's kind of like a weird announcement, even though it's already made. Releasing both games in the same year. Are we sure the localization team can handle that, considering how long this one took? Well, they don't have much of a choice at this point. The announcement's been made. There's no taking it back now. I hope they have lots of caffeine then. Have faith in them. That makes one of us. Let's say 2. Or 1.5 maybe. Well, I suppose we'll find out soon enough. Unless you reading this is already out. Yeah, I am. That would make us look very silly. Anyway, enough diversions. Thank you very much for sticking with us to the end, and we hope to see you again relatively soon. Bye, and I hope you liked the game enough to pick up a Requiem for Innocence. Farewell, my dear. May our paths cross again in the spheres of fate. There you go. An achievement. Omake episode, I guess. There you go, that should be it. You know, just like, yeah, you know, basically the way I imagine it in my head, it's kind of like how after a play, all the actors come out, you know, and they do a bow, right? So it's kind of like that. Just, you know, just a silly extra thing. There's also one more thing, though, I think I've noticed. So I got all the endings and everything, right? There is this prologue, which I thought was just a normal prologue, but I think you only get this after getting all the endings. Now, I think I got all the endings. There might have been like maybe an ending 0 that I might have missed. I'm not sure exactly. Like when you die, you know, and everything. It's technically new content, but it doesn't get recorded here, so I wouldn't know if I got it or not, you know. So I actually don't know. I assume I got it all though, because I've done almost everything, I feel like. But anyway, so this is technically new. I don't know how long this is, but let's click on it. I believe this is the same scene in the beginning, but slightly different because, well, we'll see, I guess. Wake up. Please wake up. Come on. Good morning. What's the occasion? You never come to wake me up. I was merely concerned for your health. You really should be sleeping in a proper bed. You were concerned about me. You do realize the concept of health bears little meaning for either of us, don't you? Why would I not be concerned? You are me. If something were to cause you to depart this world, the same would happen to me. Oh yeah, okay, so it's like, it's kind of weird, but like, I guess this is during the maid's time, when she like, was like, I guess, I don't know what you call it, but like, you know, her mind, you know, made her think that she was the witch and everything right back then. Ah, right. That's true. It was so long ago, I almost forgot I told her she was me. And it would seem that she still believes that to be the case. Foolish woman. What kind of herbal tea would you like to start your day with? I have some lovely mint teas if you would like. They're wonderful for improving one's mood. I have no interest or need for tea. Oh, that's most unfortunate. In that case, perhaps you could tell me a story. A story? You mean the one about Michelle and Giselle again? Yes, that one. I do love that story oh so very much. I, for one, am growing rather tired of it. I've told you dozens of times now. Now, don't be like that. The best stories never stop being moving, no matter how many times you hear them. It's like I'm talking to a child. Alright then, how about this? I'm gonna ask you a question. If you give me an answer I like, I'll tell you the story again. Oh? What kind of question? Nothing difficult, I promise. I want to hear your opinion on something. Do you think Giselle and Michelle should be reunited? That is far from a simple question, if I do say so myself. She would certainly be happiest if he were to return, yes. After all, Giselle yearns for Michelle so much she takes the name Michelle after she is reborn. That she does. She assumes the same name every single time. But her namesake, the real Michelle, has never once shown up. No, he has not. In which case, the more realistic option for her to attain happiness would be to forget about him and stay in the mansion with me. I could take very good care of her. Provide her with enough happiness to balance out all the tragedy she's had to suffer. This is brilliant. If only she had any idea how far off the mark she was. You are Giselle, my dear. Another question then. If, hypothetically, you were Giselle, what would you do? What do you mean? Would you still want to be reunited with Michelle? If I were Giselle, I imagine I would keep waiting, yes. For someone who, after hundreds of years, has never shown any signs of returning. Well, as long as the possibility remains, what is a few hundred years? Waiting is something I do quite well. Furthermore, I have not been through any of what Giselle has, so I would have little reason to give up hope. I almost want to tell her, to drag her back through all her memories. Michelle is showing up at the mansion and never realizing who you really are. You unable to bear the disappointment, the betrayal. Which is what was weird, because again, this is like, you know, we already know the truth is that it wasn't Michelle showing up at the mansion, but anyway. Is something the matter? I think I'll refrain, though. I have no particular desire to cause Giselle pain, and I wouldn't want her to break down entirely. She's of no use to me non-functional. Well, your answer was not entertaining enough, so I won't be telling the story of Giselle and Michelle today. It was not to your satisfaction. That is most unfortunate. I'm going for a walk. You do whatever you please. Enjoy yourself. Okay. So again, this is a prologue, so it's like, this is like before the game, before Michelle showed up, I guess. And she's actually has a physical being, by the way. I mean, we saw her sprite in the game, obviously. I always thought she was always just a voice, but she does have like a body, I guess. So, you know, I guess it wasn't as dreary, you know, as like Giselle described, you know, when she was like a maid for like 1,000 years. At least she has someone to talk to. It wasn't just, in particular, no, not just a voice, you know, like an actual person at least. So it wasn't completely horrible, even though it was, but you know. This isn't what I wanted. Tell me that I'm not the bad one here. Oh God. Closing your eyes won't make your problems go away. It won't erase your crimes. It won't take you out of this place. It won't make me despise you any less. Let me go, please. I'm begging you. I feel like I'm going to go mad. There's nothing here. Absolutely nothing. I vaguely remember a beautiful rose garden, but those memories just make it worse. I can't stand the sight of this emptiness any longer. You better get used to it, or accept your growing madness, because this is all you'll be seeing for eternity. It's not my fault. I'm not the bad guy. Repeating that won't make it true. Tell me something, Mel. Who's the girl you care most about? I presume you've been here long enough that you remember the era of roses. You remember what you said to your sister, the girl you once went to such lengths to save. You called her disgusting. You pushed her away. You were a pretty terrible brother and person. I can't stop laughing when someone like you starts going about how much you care, how important this or that person is to you. Empty, superficial, meaningless words. I love it. Please, enough. Brilliant. I'm so sorry. You'll never have my forgiveness. Never. Farewell, my dear. Alright, well, it's kind of like, I mean, she's been doing this for 1,000 years, I guess. You know how, like, in the Omake episode, she's basically just mocking everybody and bullying them? She's been doing this forever, so I guess old habits break hard. Or is that the right phrase? Like, old habits break hard, or they hardly, I don't know, anyway. Well, there's the beast. And he's like, you know, yelling in Japanese, by the way. Tasukete! Gomennasai! Or something. Well, I guess, well, the swordsman really feel regret, though. He wouldn't apologize. He's kind of like a psychopath, so he wouldn't understand. At least, you know, as he is right now. I don't think I'll even bother him today. Yeah, we're just gonna skip. I'm just gonna skip that guy. Not even fun to tease him because he's just an animal at that point. Well, hello there, Visit Morgana. Where are you going? How you been? What you been up to? Wanna have a little chat? Do you know the time? Hello? Nope, just walk past and ignore George's, I guess. And I'm definitely not dealing with him. Oh, I see you finally regained the appearance of a man. Your mind doesn't seem to be quite there yet, though. Having trouble moving around too? Whatever it is you're trying to say, I can't say I much care. I revile you far more than any of the others. You drained me of my blood, and then you murdered me. You're the worst of them all. Enjoy an eternity of agony. Eventually the nothingness will become too much for you to bear. The more of yourself you regain, the more this place will eat away at you. I will say, it was quite amusing seeing someone as heartless as you try to show something resembling care for another human being. You learned your lesson though, didn't you? Ultimately, you're only capable of causing pain. So long, Lord. Okay.
Morgana.
Again, this is like before the events of the story. So she's thinking that he's the Lord of, like the initial Lord that also tortured her, in the very beginning. Ironically, the one that caused her, maybe not the most pain, but definitely one of the people that caused her a lot of pain in the beginning, never showed up, in the story. He was never punished, ironically. But, Jacob also kind of deserved it too. Maybe not as much as, him being responsible for all the crimes, but, he definitely didn't help, so. Oh, back from your walk already? Not much to see after all. It's the same mansion, the same people for 1,000 years. I mean, there's not much to see. What are you looking out the window for? Come see for yourself. Look, there's a shadow outside. A shadow. It is heading toward the house. I do believe I see white hair too. It must be her. Oh my. I need to get things prepared to welcome her back. Her? That doesn't make any sense. The mansion isn't in the physical world right now. So how could she be here? Wait, is that... She chose a wonderful time to return. There's no one else here to take her attention. I might be able to convince her to stay with me this time. Perhaps. Giselle's gone so blind, she can't even see that's not a woman out there. Is that you, Michelle? After all these years, you show up actually looking like yourself, without a body of flesh, at this gathering place of souls. I must have her be my master, for I've been waiting so very long. Master. Yes? What about it? You've never once called her that. Oh, I haven't? I cannot say I remember either way. I'm going to add a few logs to the fireplace. We will not want the house to be cold when she arrives. You go do that. You creepy laughter. I don't get it. Why are you showing up now, Michelle, looking like that? What provoked Giselle to call you master? Well, it doesn't matter either way. Whatever your reasons are, you're still frail and powerless. I suppose I'll just watch and see. I'm more than happy to keep you around, as long as you don't look like her. I, too, have been waiting to see you again, Michelle, though not nearly as much as her. I wonder about that last line she said, that she's been waiting for him too. I mean, she did say, they seem like good friends. I guess it's not romantic. It's even more than that, I guess. It's as if they're it's kind of like their family, really. It's kind of it's kind of like brother and sister when you think about it, Because she did say they went through very similar traumas and everything. So maybe it's mostly because we're kind of going back to the prologue. So this seemed we're gonna leave it on a bad note. Unlike maybe I should have stopped on the Omake episode where everything was nice and happy. But that maybe that reveals something, Morgana. It really does maybe cement the fact that actually she cares about Michelle more than we thought. I mean, it seems there's a lot of hints where it just seems like Morgana really just wants to confide in someone, right? And not just romantically, because I thought maybe there's some romance in it, because definitely, this story is all about a lot about the power of love, everything, but also tragedy because of love. But maybe maybe Morgana is not romantically interested in Michelle, but rather is kind of like a brother, right? They're she feels a lot closer to Michelle than she lets on. I mean, she's the true tsundere. You know, maybe she's the one, the fragile female ego. Maybe she's the one with that. Anyway. But there you go. I guess that's it. This is gonna be like probably just gonna be an extra episode on YouTube. You know, I'll probably just post it right after the final episode of the playthrough. Technically, I know in the the last stream I did of this game, I already did my thoughts of the game and everything and stuff like that. So I won't repeat it here. And but yeah, so yeah, if anyone's this is just like an extra thing for anyone who's interested. If they want a little bit more content, I guess, of Fata Morgana. I think it's interesting enough to go through anyway. So there you go. I guess that's it. I don't have much else to say, so there you go. That'll be it for the bonus episode of The House in Fata Morgana. Again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.